There was a time when we believed in them. We really did. The farm, the family, the fairy tale. That was the before. And then came the after. The after is where the truth lives. And I think we need to sit with that today. I have watched every episode. More than once. I cheered for their anniversaries. I cried at their struggles. I wanted them to make it. Most of us did. That is why the divorce hurt so much. It was not just their marriage ending. It was a little piece of our own hope. Here is what broke my heart first. It was not the big fight. It was the quiet distance. You could see it growing, like a crack in a window. Slowly, silently, then all at once. She stopped looking at him the same way. And he stopped noticing her at all. This happens in so many marriages. More than we ever admit. We need to understand who they were. Before the cameras. Before the fame. Before the farm became a brand. Matt was the dreamer. Always building. Always planning. Amy was the doer. Always cleaning. Always managing. That worked for a long time. Dreamers need doers. And doers need something to believe in. But here is the quiet truth. That balance only works if both people feel valued. Matt felt valued because he created. Amy did not feel the same. She just felt used. Not at first. At first she felt needed. And being needed feels a lot like love. Until one day it doesn't. The farm grew bigger every year. More pumpkins. More attractions. More cameras. Matt saw potential everywhere. Amy saw work everywhere. She cooked for the crew. She raised the boys alone most days. She handled the school runs, the doctor visits, the broken hearts, the everyday invisible labor. That never makes it into a business plan. And here is what I truly believe. Amy loved that farm once. She loved the idea of it. A place for her family. A legacy for her children. But somewhere along the way, the farm stopped being theirs. It became his. His vision. His project. His pride. She became a guest in her own home. A worker in her own marriage. That is a slow death. The kind nobody sees coming. The show made it worse. Cameras love a dreamer. Matt was good television. Big personality. Big ideas. Big emotions. Amy was the steady one. The reliable one. The one who kept things running. That does not get the same attention. But it should. It really should. I remember an episode. She was exhausted. You could see it in her eyes. Matt was planning something new. Another edition. Another project. She asked him to slow down. Just for a minute. Just to breathe with her. And he could not do it. His mind was already somewhere else. That was the moment I knew. Not the divorce. The moment before the divorce. The moment she started leaving. While still standing in the room. Most of us have felt this. You ask to be seen. And the other person keeps moving. Not because they are cruel. Because they are comfortable. They assume you will always be there. So they stop trying. And that is when the marriage ends. Long before anyone packs a bag, the divorce announcement came. And we all pretended to be surprised. But we were not. We saw it coming. We just did not want to admit it. Because admitting it meant that love does not always win. And that is a hard thing to accept. Then came the fight over the farm. That was the explosion. And honestly, I understood her. People said she was being difficult. Why not just let Matt have it? Why fight over property? But this was never about the farm. It was about feeling seen. It was about 20 years of labor. Being acknowledged. She did not want to take anything from him. She wanted her peace. Her dignity. Her worth. That is not greed. That is self-respect. Matt did not understand that. How could he? He had never been the invisible one. He had never been the one who gave and gave and gave and heard nothing back. He saw the farm as his dream. She saw it as their life. Those are two very different things. And they could not find a bridge between them. The legal battle was hard to watch. Family becomes business. Business becomes war. And the children are caught in the middle. Zach, Jeremy, Molly, Jacob. They had to choose sides. Or pretend not to. That is the real tragedy of public divorce. Not the money. Not the property. The children watching their parents. become strangers to each other. But here is the gentle critical question. Was Matt wrong to want the farm? No. He built it with his hands, his ideas, his obsession. But was Amy wrong to want half? Also no. She held everything together. She made it possible for him to dream. Without her, there would be no farm to fight over. That is the part people forget. The settlement came eventually. Amy got her share. She bought her own home. Away from the farm. Away from the memories. Away from the wait. And here is what I noticed. She did not look relieved. She looked tired. The kind of tired that sleep cannot fix. The kind of tired that comes from finally stopping. After running for 20 years, she moved to a smaller place. A simpler place. A place with no cameras in the kitchen. No mat in the barn. No expectations pressing down on her. Just quiet. Just her. Just a new beginning. That is the part that made me cry. Not the ending of her marriage. The beginning of her freedom. Women give everything to a marriage and still walk away with less. That has to change. Amy did not change the whole world, but she changed her world. She stopped being the helper and started being the main character. That takes courage. More courage than building a farm. More courage than being on television. That is the courage to choose yourself. When everyone wants you to choose someone else. She found Chris, a man who did not want her labor. He just wanted her. That is a different kind of love. The quiet kind. The kind that asks nothing, but still gives everything. She learned to receive that love. That was hard for her. She was used to giving, used to earning, used to proving her worth. Chris just loved her. No proving required. Matt built his dream house on the farm. A castle really, with slides and towers and big ideas. He seemed happy. And I am glad for him. Really. But I kept thinking about Amy. Sitting on her porch, watching the sunset. No slides. No towers. No cameras. Just peace. That is not a consolation prize. That is a victory. Here is the psychological truth. Amy needed to lose the farm. To find herself. The farm was Matt's identity, not hers. She had wrapped herself around his dream. For so long, she forgot she had her own. When the farm was gone, she had to face that emptiness and fill it with herself. That is terrifying and beautiful and exactly what needed to happen. She wrote a book. She traveled. She learned to be alone. Not lonely. Alone. There is a difference. Lonely is missing someone. Alone is enjoying yourself. She found joy in her own company. That is something marriage took from her. Not on purpose. But marriage made her half of a whole. She had to become whole again. By herself. The grandchildren came. That changed everything. Zach and Tori had Jackson. Then Lila. Then Josiah. Amy became a grandmother. And something softened in her. Not the pain. The pain was still there. But it mattered less. Because there were new faces. New love. New reasons to wake up happy. She still sees Matt sometimes. At family events. At the farm for pumpkin season. They are polite now. Not warm. Polite. That is enough. That is more than many divorced couples have. They share children. They share a history. They do not need to share anything else. That is healthy. That is grown up. That is the best possible ending. For a story that could have ended much worse. Here is what I keep coming back to. Amy Rolloff taught us that leaving is not failure. Staying in something broken is the real failure. She taught us that your worth is not determined by your ability to make a marriage work. Sometimes the bravest thing you can do is admit it is not working and walk away with your head held high and your heart still open. She reminded me of someone I know very well, my own mother, who stayed too long, who gave too much, who thought marriage was supposed to be hard, so she made it harder than it had to be. My mother never left, but Amy did, and watching her leave was like watching my mother get a second chance, a chance she never took. That is why I love Amy. That is why I defend her. She did what so many women want to do, but cannot. The show goes on without her. Sort of. It is different now. Colder somehow. Matt still dreams. But there is no one to balance him. No one to say slow down. No one to cook the dinner while he builds the tower. That is the cost of divorce. Not just losing a spouse. Losing the person who knew you better than anyone, even if they could not save you. Amy is happy now. Really happy. You can see it in her Instagram posts. Her smile is different. Lighter. She posts pictures of sunsets. And coffee. And Chris. And her grandbabies. Small things. Real things. Things that matter. That is the reward for all that pain. A life made of small beautiful moments. Chosen freely. Not endured quietly. I think about the young couple. The one we fell in love with. Matt and Amy on the couch. Talking about their dreams. Their boys running around. The farm just a field then. Not a brand. Not a battleground. Just a field with potential. Like their marriage. Full of potential. Potential is not enough though. You have to water it. You have to tend it. You have to see the other person. Standing right in front of you. They stop seeing each other. And that is the real truth. The only truth that matters. This is the part one wants you to take home. Marriage is not about who is right. It is about who is willing to grow together. Matt grew his farm. Amy grew herself. They grew in different directions. That is not a failure. That is a season change. Some marriages are meant to last forever. Some are meant to last 20 years. And teach you something. Then end. So you can begin again. Amy Rolloff began again. At 50 years old. That is not old. That is experienced. That is wise. That is finally ready. She was ready for a love that did not require her to disappear. She found it. Not in a fairy tale. In real life. With a real man. And a real home. And a real peace. If you are watching this, and you are in a marriage that feels like a farm you never wanted, full of work and no recognition, full of giving and no receiving, full of dreams that are not yours, I want you to know something. You are allowed to leave. You are allowed to want more. You are allowed to choose yourself. Amy did. And the world did not end. Her life began. The farm is still there. Pumpkin season still comes. Matt still builds. Life goes on. That is the beautiful thing. Life goes on. Even after heartbreak. Even after divorce. Even after losing everything you thought you could not live without. You keep